This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, guys. So as we know, this SCCM is a big tool. It has many components, so it takes um, at least 1 month to finish all the topics. And daily we can do 90 minutes session, Monday to Friday, uh, 1.5 hour session on daily basis, and that's for the weekdays. I am currently not doing weekend, but when I do weekend session, so 3 hours on Saturday and 3 hours on Sunday. But this is on hold at the moment. I'm not doing weekend session because I have other involvements. So this is the one weekday session which uh, I'm currently involved in. So now let me take you to the historical background of SCCM. So SCCM was started in 1994, like 25 years back. And in the year 1994, they released SMS 1.0, then SMS 2.0. Then in the year 2003, they released SMS 2003. And the previous old name of SCCM was SMS, System Management Server. But what they did is they changed the name in the year 2007, and they have chosen this name, SCCM, System Center Configuration Manager. So they released SCCM 2007, then SCCM 2012 in the year 2012. And then they changed they previously they were using this SP1, SP2, these naming convention. They dropped those naming convention, and now they are going with year and month. So year 2015 and month November. So you see, year and month. So every year they are releasing 3 versions of SCCM. Okay, so what they do, they add a couple of features and they resolve some known issues, and release SCCM in thrice a year. So these are the 3 versions released in the year 2016, like in February, June, and October. These are the 3 versions released in the year 2017, February, June, and October. These are the versions released in the year 2018, February, June, and October. And SCCM 1902, SCCM 1906, and SCCM 1910, February, June, and October. These versions released in the year 2019. Now, what is the latest and greatest version of SCCM? Can anyone tell me?
I think it's 2020, 2002, I think.
Right, the 2002. So 20 is 2020, and 02 is February. Okay, so it was 2020. So this is the latest and greatest version of SCCM, which you can install in your production environment. So it started in 1994, now 2020. So almost like how much? Almost like 20 years, 25 years in the market. So it's a matured product, and it is deployed in thousands and thousands of companies all over the globe, and millions of devices are being managed through this product. So the certification, this is the old exam. This is expired now. The new exam will be released by Microsoft, but this was valid till 31st of December 2019. So this is expired now, but new exam, the paper will be released by Microsoft. Then if you take that one, then you will be SCCM certified professional. Now, in terms of the opportunities in SCCM, there are other products as well, just like SCCM. So like SCCM, we have IBM Big Fix. Now this IBM Big Fix has sold this product to HCL. So now it is HCL Big Fix. Okay. So IBM Big Fix. Then we have Tanium, we have Landesk, then we have Altris, right? There are other products which are you know like SCCM, but SCCM is on the top, and it's way ahead in terms of deployment and in terms of managing the devices. So all over the global presence, SCCM is way ahead, and it holds up to 43% of market share. System administrators, those who are working on SCCM profile, those who are in US, Canada, or European countries, they are earning somewhere around $45 as per hour. This is the average salary in these countries for SCCM administrator. Okay, lot of opportunities are there, guys, on Indeed and Dice portal. These are two leading job portals in US and Canada. Okay, now one more thing I missed to update you guys. Now the name is changed from SCCM to MECM, Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager, and this changed from 1910. Last year, October, they changed the name of SCCM to MECM, Microsoft Endpoint Configuration Manager. So its name, only the name changed, but the product wise is still the same as SCCM. Everything is all the features and components is still there. So they have added some more extra features, but the platform and the architecture, is the framework is still the same. Now we have 3 sites in SCCM: central, primary, and secondary. We'll talk about these sites in details. So central administration site is basically the sitting on the top of the hierarchy. If you have central, then it will sit on the top of the hierarchy. It is an optional site. You may or may not have it. It is not mandatory. Okay, so central administration site is like conditional based. If the condition is there, then only it is needed, otherwise it is not needed. Okay, it needs to store data in database, so it needs SQL Server database. Okay, it needs SQL Server database to keep all its data. Okay, the maximum number of device in a central administration site hierarchy is 700,000. So in one hierarchy where you have central administration site, you can have maximum 700,000 devices. So for example, you have central administration site here, and you have multiple primary site, P1, P2, and P3, and then you have secondary site. So all the devices which are in this hierarchy, the total number of the devices can be 7 lakh. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Yeah.
So central, as we know, this is sitting on the top of the hierarchy. It is an optional site. You may or may not have it, and now it needs SQL Server database to store the data, right? And the maximum number of devices 700. Now, what are the condition? Why it is optional? Okay, why it is optional? The condition is when you have more than one primary site. Okay, when you have more than one primary site, then you need central administration site. Okay, so for example, let's take this. let's say Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola is a brand, like an umbrella, right? And Coca-Cola has two companies. Let's say Coca-Cola has Thumbs Up and Sprite, for example. Sprite, I don't know, S-P-I-R-I-T. I think Sprite. Okay, so two companies. Now Thumbs Up has, let's say, 100,000 devices in Thumbs Up domain, and Sprite has like somewhere around 150,000 devices in Sprite. So we will have one primary site 1, to manage these devices, 100,000 devices. We will have primary site 2 to manage these devices, 150,000 devices of Thumbs Up. Now primary site, you can, one person, let's say James, will manage all the devices in Thumbs Up. So James will manage primary site 1 and John will manage primary site 2. You can separately manage these two primary sites, but now the company decides that we need both these devices on a central to be managed through a central server. So what you can do, you can install a cache server, and then primary site 1 and primary site 2 can be joined together here. So both will report to central administration site. So central will be acting as a top level hierarchy, will be sitting on the top of the hierarchy. Then you can have maximum minimum 2 primary site for central. You can't have one primary and one central. Okay, then there is no point keeping central. You at least you need to have more than one primary site. Okay, then only central administration site is needed. I hope you guys understood this one so far.
Yeah. So actually the question. So at the BNP Paribas, our central administrative site is in Paris. What happens is that I was wondering because we were facing a problem where the time differential, maybe 6 hours difference. So in Paris to the United States. So I was thinking about why is it not possible to have two central administrative sites, one in the United States and one in Paris? Because the time it takes for Paris to connect and transfer stuff over to the P1s and P2s, the primary sites and secondary sites, sometimes is a lag. So I was curious to know, is it possible to have more than one central administration site in two different continents?
Central site in 2 different continents.
Yeah, because right now we only have it in Paris, and sometimes it's a lag in the network.
Okay. You can have, but then this will be completely different, because one cache will hold the data for separate management, another cache will have separate management. So the devices which are there, it cannot be managed. I mean, you can't see anything here. This will be completely separate between these two caches. So in order to resolve that problem, you will have to have a good connectivity, and that's the only solution you have.
Understood.
If you have good, like the MPLS line, which you take it from the service provider, network service provider, and that has like the minimum 500 megabyte per second or 1 GB per second, then probably that should resolve that problem what you have. Putting cache in 2 different location is not a good idea. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I think there will be only one central administration system supposed to be there, because if we have two systems, there will be a conflict. Like if we have two presidents at a time, so who's gonna be who's gonna run the government? So that's the same thing. Only one central point, and then who can manage all those primary sites.
Yes. So central will be one, and then you will have primary sites. But
Multiple primary.
sometime if you want, let's say you want to manage, let's say you want to manage two different continents, let's say APAC plus Europe, okay, using a CAS. This CAS will be managing devices here in these two regions. Another CAS, this can manage the devices in um, Americas, right? And let's say other region, okay. But this is very rare combination. If you have such a requirement, then only we do it. Otherwise, all these should report here instead of multiple.
Yes. Hi, Kashif. This is Bilal. I also have a question.
Mm.
I'm also going through the same scenario. My company just bought another two companies, and they already have their CAS sites. One in Houston, one in Manila. So what should be
For
what
two
should I?
different companies, right?
Yes, they have two brand new companies. Brand new.
And for both of them, the separate CAS is there, right?
Yes, it's already there. So what solution should I provide? Active Directory Trust is already enabled.
Already enabled. Okay.
Enabled.
So let's say company one. Let's say company one, right? And the second company two, right? And it also has CAS here. CAS one, right?
Yes.
CAS
Yes.
two. And now these are small company, right?
No, company one have 5,000 employees. Company two have almost 4,000 employees.
Okay, the 5,000 employees here and 4,000
Yes.
employees.
Yes, and yes.
Now, also, I would like to tell you before I move further to
Yes.
give you the solution. If you have devices less than 175,000, how much? Less than. If you have devices less than 175,000 devices, then you do not need CAS. Okay, but you have kept CAS. I don't know what is the reason behind it. Maybe there was certain special requirement. You don't need CAS. You just need a primary site, and primary site can support up to 175,000 devices. Got it?
Makes sense. But I'm slightly
Now,
confused here. Sorry. When I see the Active Directory on the user and also on SCCM on those two new sites, I can see the users like 5,800, 5,300, something like that. But when I click the devices button, it shows 10,000 plus. I can't even count. I'm not sure what is happening.
in which one? Here or here? Where
On
exactly?
both sides. On even
Okay.
on actually we have like 7 different companies. On every site, I'm encountering the same issue. Employees are less, but the device list is 10,000 plus. I can't. After that, the SCCM gives up. He says, I don't want to count anymore.
Okay, so why it
Why?
is happening? Why it is happening? Because the SCCM takes data from where? SCCM takes data from Active Directory,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, and you have multiple Active Directories, right? Multiple domain.
Yes.
So I don't know what is the setting you have. If you can share your screen, then I can probably check and let you know. So
Yes.
looks like you have discovered the devices from all the domains.
Yes. That's what I did,
Yeah.
except the
Yeah.
servers.
So you will have to change that setting. Okay. Which I will,
Oh,
in the training itself, I can guide you how to
got it.
go about
Got it.
it. Now for your
Got it.
solution, for this
Yes.
one, for 5,000 and 4,000, what I will suggest, if you have device, if you already have a trust, let's say your main domain, this is your main domain, right?
Yes.
.com,
Yes.
and this is subdomain, this is subdomain. So what you can do, you will have a primary site here
Yes.
or central administration site. So you can start discovering devices in your main domain. You already have a trust relationship, okay?
Yes. Yes.
And then you then push the agent from this site to these
Yes.
computers, and then you can decommission these, and so that this one will be, all the computers will be pointing to the main one rather than to
Got
the.
it. And we have no CES on our site. We have, that's the first thing I confirm. I'm not the domain owner. I consulted the domain owners, domain administrators. They say on SCCM, we have not set up CAS. So we are only running primary sites and distribution points. That's it. Hello? Hi, guys, can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I think that he's lost his connection again.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Sorry, guys, I'm asking a lot of questions. I was confused.
Yeah, but you said that you have 5,000 and 4,000 on two different companies, right?
Yes, we just bought 2 new companies,
Yeah.
and we are migrating users. We already migrated users, so now we are migrating systems.
Okay.
And after that, in next 3-4 months, we have to implement SCCM.
So, but like you say, I do think that you don't need to see
You can hear me, guys?
a primary site would work. He's right, and then you could just assign it the primary site to both locations where it'd be easier for you to do your packages and your images that way.
Yes, possible.
Sorry guys, my network router was reset, so I was disconnected. You guys can hear me again?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, so I was discussing about central administration site. So I hope you have some information of
Yes.
central administration site now.
Yes. So if the SCCM console manager is already installed on those computers, it should revert by itself, or how are we gonna direct those
The
host
agent.
names? Yeah, the
The
agent,
agent.
sorry. Yes.
Yeah, agent. Most probably it will. If agent is still not working, so on some computers you might need to uninstall and reinstall the agent.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it.
Now, so what we have learned, yes, is anyone has any question?
No, I'm good right now.
Okay, so what we have learned for central administration site so far, central administration site is needed when you have more than one primary site. Second, maximum number of devices can be there in a central administration site is 700,000. Third, it needs a SQL Server database to store the data. So CAS will keep all its data in the SQL Server database. All good?
Yes.
Yeah.
Point number 4, primary site will report to CAS. Secondary cannot report to central. If we have CAS, we have a primary site, and we have a secondary site. So secondary site cannot directly talk to central administration site. That's not possible. The secondary site will always be talking to primary, and primary will be talking to central. Got it?
Yes.
So that is central administration side, guys. Okay. Now the management part is done. Management part is done through the primary. We are not managing anything from the central administration, like the pushing the application or deploying of you know, the devices. I mean, give me 1 minute. The devices, let's say this is your laptop or desktop or server, these will never talk to central administration side. That's not possible for the devices. So devices has got nothing to do with the central administration side. Now let's
Kashif, I
move
have
on
one
to
doubt,
the,
actually.
yes.
So if the primary site, so like if we are in Dubai, so we, for example, we have multiple branches, like 8 to 10 branches, just for example. So each of I mean officers has 800 to 900 employees, just for example. So this will be contacting to the primary sites only, right? This will be comes like central administrator concept and primary administrator concept, right?
That
How
is
it will be?
coming. That I'll explain that to you when I will discuss the primary. I'll explain that to you. Don't worry about it. Your question will be answered. Okay.
Okay.
Now the next one is primary side. So primary is what? This is the main. This is the main site in SCCM. So primary site is mandatory. As we see, central is what? Central is optional, but primary is mandatory. So you have to have a primary site. Without primary, you can't do anything. Okay. So one primary site can manage up to 175,000 devices all over the globe. Okay. Maybe you have some devices in let's say Mumbai. Let's say 2,000 devices in Mumbai, another 3,000 devices in London, some devices in Paris, some devices in Mexico. The total number of devices a primary site can manage is 175,000 devices. Got it? Now, who can tell me if you have more than this number? If you have devices, let's say 200,000 devices, if you have, then what will you do?
Then we need to make another primary.
Right. So we will have to have another primary site server. So one primary site is not capable to manage devices more than 175. This is given by Microsoft, but don't go with Microsoft Word. The maximum number of devices, you know, as per the capability and the functionality, it gives 100,000 devices. Okay. But if you start adding more and more, then this start giving less performance. So rather, you know, the practical scenario I'm saying, but as per Microsoft, 175,000 devices. So what we learned so far for primary side is the total number of devices can manage 175,000. It's a mandatory site. It needs what? SQL Server database. So basically you have a primary site, and that's gonna save everything in database. Just like central, primary also needs database, separate database for primary, separate database for central. Clear?
Yes.
Point number 4, devices. Your server, your laptop devices will always point to, will always be assigned to, that's the right word, assigned to primary site. So you have like primary site and you have devices, let's say 5,000 or 20,000, whatever the, let's say 20,000 devices, they will be assigned to primary site. Clear? I'm getting background noise from some. I think from Bilal's end.
No,
Okay.
mine is mute.
Okay, now it's clear. So devices, server, laptop, the endpoint devices will always be assigned to primary site. Clear? Everyone?
Yes. Yes. So if we update the SCCM server, just the primary site, all the sites are updated up automatically, including the SCCM server that is connected to that site. When we press the update button, like
No. If you update means what? There are two types of update, either OS update or SCCM update. Which update you are talking about?
sorry, SCCM update.
So SCCM update, suppose you update where? The primary site you update, right?
Yes, I did update the primary site, and the console that we use, everyone's console gave them a message that it needs to update from 19 or something to 2002. But on the logs, it says that SQL server, something, it had a red color, the log viewer, it had a message that SQL didn't update.
SQL will not update. Why SQL will update?
Okay.
SQL will be as it is. It's just the server will the SCCM server will get upgraded, not SQL. For SQL, you will have to upgrade the SQL. Let's say from 2000. Let's say you are using 2014 and you would like to install 2016. Then you will have to upgrade SQL. That's a separate, different process altogether.
Oh, so they don't go hand to hand. Like it's a total different management.
Different.
Okay, I didn't need that. Okay.
Kashif, for point number 2, I'm having a question here. Let's say I'm having central administrator site and I'm having on that SQL database there. And then I'm having separate the primary sites 1 and 2. For those also I require to be installed these SQL servers, or it can be used from the central administrator site?
No, separate database for separate site. Central will have a separate database. Each primary will have a separate database. Got it? You can't combine them together.
Okay.
So it will be like this one: primary site 1, primary site 2. It will have a database here, right? Primary site 1 will have a separate database. Primary site 2 will have a separate database, and central will have a database too, right? Now this database will replicate here. This database will replicate here. So central will be the master database. So it will the central will have the information of primary site 1 and primary site 2 both.
So the central administrator site, whenever you update the SQL server on that site, it should then also propagate down to the P1 and P2 as well, because I'm assuming that they have their own servers. How are you going to update them when necessary every year?
SQL has got nothing to do with SCCM update. Understand that point.
Yeah,
if you update,
so that's I understand it's separate, but I'm asking you.
Yes. So suppose if you are using 2016 and you would like to upgrade here, you upgrade it here, then you upgrade this one, and then you upgrade this one. Separate process. Okay. Similarly, if you upgrade SCCM central administration side, then you update the primary side. It won't upgrade the primary automatically. Clear?
Yeah.
Now, devices will always be assigned to primary site. Point number 5. Devices, the policies are rolled down from primary site itself. Let's say you create a policy. Let's say you have to deploy Google Chrome or Firefox or Microsoft Office or patches or operating system. These are policies. So it will always be rolling down to the devices from primary site itself. Got it?
Clear.
Yes.
So for now, you understand these few points. It's a mandatory requirement. It has maximum capability, 175,000 devices. It needs a database. Devices will always be assigned to primary, and policies will be rolled down from the primary itself. Now the secondary side. Whose question was that? Different branch offices in different location?
Mine, Bashir.
Bashir. Okay, so those things, if you have devices in a remote location, let's say your main site in New York, and New York has how many devices? Let's say 20,000 devices. Okay, so you need what? You need one primary site to handle all these devices here. But you have branch offices. Let's say you have one branch office in Dubai, another branch office in Mumbai, another branch office in Mexico, and these Dubai has, like, let's say 700 devices, as you said. Mumbai has like 800 devices, and Mexico like 1,000 devices. Now these locations, they are connected to New York. How? On WAN network, wide area network, right? MPLS line, you have purchased MPLS line from network service provider, and then you have taken lease line from New York to Dubai, New York to Mumbai, New York to Mexico. Now suppose if these devices 700, 800 plus 1,000, almost like 2,000 devices will be communicating to New York, 2,000 devices, what will happen to New York?
Speed choke down.
So the network will be choked up, right? It will be a huge network band traffic, and the New York will not be able to handle process all the requirements. So in order to overcome this task, what we do, we have a option that is called secondary site. So secondary site is needed in branch offices where you have low network connectivity bandwidth issue. Okay, then only you need. If you don't have network bandwidth issue, then you don't need secondary site. Okay, so secondary site is needed for branch offices, and secondary site will be pointing to reporting to primary site. So now how many devices? Only 3 devices. Previously 2,000 devices were communicating to New York. Now only 3 devices, secondary side 1, secondary side 2, and secondary side 3, pointing to this one. Now secondary side is a child side of primary. What happens here? We have a management point and distribution point, which I will discuss. What is these two things? Basically all the devices, 700 devices, will be communicating to this secondary side, rather than it will not go to New York. Okay, rather than they will be communicating to this secondary site to download the content and uploading the inventory data and all. These 800 devices will be communicating to Mumbai secondary site to download the content and uploading the inventory files. Similarly, these 100 and 1,000 devices, they'll be downloading content from here and uploading inventory data to this one. And this secondary site also has database. This also has a database. This also has a database, and this also has a database. So database 1, database 2, and database 3. And primary side also has a database. So all these data will be replicated here. The secondary side will replicate its data with primary side database. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Bashir, your question is answered.
Yeah. What if through the internet would be possible? Like, see, we are using WAN connection, correct? So for let's example, Dubai and all the 3 location doesn't connected with WAN. It connected with only internet. Will it be possible?
Internet is WAN is what? Internet.
No, WAN is like least connection. So
Okay, you mean no lease connection. Okay,
yes,
so that
correct.
means you don't have a connectivity at all,
Yes,
right?
correct.
So then secondary side, there is no purpose to put secondary side because you don't have connectivity. You won't be able to communicate to New York. There is no connection at all, right?
Okay.
So then you have a different scenario. What will happen? You will have to use IBCM feature of SCCM, Internet Based Client Management. So these 700 devices will not talk to this secondary, not talk to here. It will directly talk to the, I'll tell you, let me just, okay, anyone has any question with this secondary side before I explain this IBCM feature?
No, we are good. I'm good.
One more thing also, Kashif, like what about the consoles and the license will be same for, we need to purchase a separate license for the secondary side.
No.
So,
One license contains all, central, primary, secondary, all.
okay. So we can utilize same license everywhere, correct?
It will be only one license, okay, which you can, which can be used to install central and primary and secondary. But during purchase, you will have to give your details, that how many central you are going to put, how many primary, and how many number of core processor and all, and then it is calculated, and then either you take the standard license, or you take the data center license, or you take the new one, the end user license. Depends on them, on you, and it will Microsoft will give you the solution, which license you want. Got it?
Yeah.
But you don't have separate license. Okay, so one license for this thing, all. Now before I so secondary site is needed for point number one. It is also an optional site. So if you don't have branch offices, you don't need secondary site, right? Secondary site also has a database, but in this case you can use SQL Express or SQL Server. Primary and central need SQL Server itself, but here you can either choose this one or this one. You have that flexibility, and most of the time we go with this one because this is free of cost. You don't have to pay extra for this one. Otherwise, if you go with this SQL license, then you will have to purchase SQL license. Understood? So
Kashif,
SQL, yeah.
So primary site compulsory need SQL database, right? Not SQL Express.
No, it needs SQL Server. This one, primary side, primary plus central, both of them need SQL Server database.
So if we install SQL Express, that will not work.
No, it won't work. Only secondary can be taken SQL Express.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Okay.
and you can't take any other database like MySQL or Oracle DB or any other database. Only Microsoft SQL Server database can be chosen for this task. So the third thing is, one secondary site can support up to 15,000 devices. So suppose there is a branch office, let's say Mumbai, and Mumbai has 25,000 devices. What will you do, guys?
We'll separate two
secondary sites.
Sorry?
Multiple.
You had to create two secondary sites because you only can fit 15,000
Right.
right? So you can
Right.
throw 2,000 to be SS2.
Right. Secondary site 1 and secondary site 2. So probably this can manage up to 15,000 and this can manage up to 10,000. Okay. Or you can divide by 12,500 and 12,500. Depends on you. So secondary site has maximum 15,000 support capability. Point number 4, devices will upload all its let's say you have devices in Mumbai. These are, let's say, 2,000 devices, and they are communicating through this secondary site. So devices will upload the inventory file to the management point here on the secondary side, which I will show you later on. And devices will download the content from the distribution point. So this secondary site, by default, it has a management point plus distribution point. These are two roles in SCCM, which I'm gonna discuss later on. Management point basically for policies and the inventory collection, and distribution point is for the content, you know, the file, application files, or software update files and or operating system files. So devices will be downloading the content from here. Now, can anyone tell me, can a secondary site exist without primary? Let's say you don't have any primary. Can a secondary site exist?
No, I don't think so.
Not possible. Can a primary site exist without secondary?
Yes.
Yes.
Possible.
Yes. Okay. Now, suppose you have one primary site here, another primary site here, and you have secondary site here, secondary site 1, and you have secondary site 2. Can this secondary site point to this one?
No.
Not possible, right? Can this secondary site possible? Not possible. So secondary site, SS means secondary site cannot exist without primary site. Okay. Secondary site will always point to respective primary site. You can't change the primary site. Clear, everyone?
Yes.
Secondary site will replicate the data. Secondary site has a database, and primary site also has a database. So it will replicate the data to the primary site. So point number 6 is secondary site database replicate to primary site database. All good, guys?
Yes.
Now, I am gonna ask you guys to let me know. Now, I'm gonna design a hierarchy for a company called HCL. HCL has, let's say, HCL has 300,000 devices. Total number of devices 300,000. Okay, and it has a global presence. Okay, some devices in Americas regions, some branches in Americas region, some branches in Europe region, some branches in APAC region. So it has a global presence. Now, tell me, do we need a CAS in this one?
Yes.
So yes, we need a CAS server. And normally, where do we put the CAS server? Data center, right? We try to keep it in the regional wise. If it is in the middle of the region, let's say if all the devices are in Asia Pac, right? So let's say some devices are in Dubai, some devices in India, some devices in America, Hong Kong, some devices in Singapore, some devices in Beijing, some devices in Indonesia, some devices are in Japan, right? So we try to keep it in the middle, somewhere, which is like nearby. I mean, let's say we can put it in Singapore. Okay, Singapore is in between all the locations, which has good connectivity. Also, that's the major point, which has good connectivity. Otherwise, there is no point keeping it. So we need one central administration site, and central administration site will have a database, right? Now, how many primary site can we take?
25.
25 primary site. That's a max. That's the maximum capability of a central administration site. A central administration, a good point. A central administration site can have maximum 25 child primary site. So child primary site, if you have multiple primary sites, so total number of primary site can be 25. But I'm not talking about the capability of central, maximum number of primary site as a central can support. How many primary site needed for this 300,000 devices?
We need, I think, maximum 2.
Maximum 2, and as a
Maximum
backup,
2.
as a load balancer.
But no. There is no point. There is no such thing in load balancer here in primary. So as per practical capability, as I mentioned in the earlier slide, we should have 3 primary site. Okay, but as per
Yeah,
Microsoft says 175,000 devices, but don't go with Microsoft words, because I am in the implementation team. I know what is the maximum
Limitation.
number of devices limitation. Yeah, after that it will start giving you multiple issues. So go with this one, 100,000 devices. 100,000 devices in Europe region, for example, Europe region. Another 100,000 devices in APAC region. Another 100,000 devices in Americas region, right? So this will have primary site 1 to manage all these devices in Europe. This will have primary site 2 to manage devices in APAC, and primary site 3 to manage devices in Americas. And all will have database, right?
Yes.
And they will point to this one. Clear?
Clear.
Now suppose I don't have any branch offices. I just have one office which has like 20,000 devices. What will I do?
One primary site.
Yes, we need only one primary site, and we call it as standalone primary site, which will handle 20,000 devices. Got it?
Yes.
Now if we have devices, let's say 75,000 devices, and multiple, let's say 4 branch offices and 1 headquarter, how will be the architecture?
Having one primary site and secondary sites will be having on different locations.
Yes. So in headquarter, most of the time we put it in headquarter if we have the data center there, or depends where will you. So let's say in headquarter we put it a primary site, and in branch offices, 4 branch offices, we put secondary site. Okay, and all of them will report to this. So this is the ideal scenario, guys. Most of the 99% of the companies have this type of architecture.
Can I ask a question here? It's a really stupid question.
No, every question is good question. Yes.
The issue is that on our side, on TSI, is almost 98% of the company we are working remotely.
Okay.
No, we are not connecting to the, so the distribution points, I set up 34 distribution points for my company, and none of those are in use because our VPN goes to our two locations. One is in Las Vegas, one is in North Coast Atlanta. And all our, whenever we try to push an update or, the Microsoft Tuesday updates and any new application, it takes like more like 50 hours to deploy on a VPN. So in the future, if 100% people are working remotely, do we really need sites, distribution points, and management points? Because I hope you understand where I'm going to. Like, if there's no physical office present anymore in the future after 5 years, or in my companies today, what should we do?
So current scenario, yes. So current scenario, because of this COVID-19, people working from home, and that's the
Yes.
reason you have this kind of issue. Now the
Yes.
previous scenario was like this: you have a primary site in, you have a primary site in headquarter, another secondary site, and you have a distribution point here. Another secondary site, you have a distribution point. Secondary site, distribution point. Now, since all people are now working from home, okay, some people are
Yes.
working from London, some people are working from New York, some people are working from a different region,
Yes.
So
With
now people are, people will not
with
be connecting to this one. People will not be connecting to this one. Why?
yes.
Because these are only for the offices. Okay.
Yes.
So they will be they will be connecting to which one? They will be connecting to data center, distribution point. And
Yes.
previously we used to keep only few 2-3 distribution point in data center.
Yes.
One for America, one for New York, I mean one for Americas, one for Europe, one for Asia Pacific, something
Yes.
like that. So let's say these American people will be communicating to this one, right?
Yes.
These will be communicating to another data center distribution point. So hardly 2-3 distribution point will be there, and the currently all the people are trying to communicate to that one. So it is gonna,
Overload.
yes, overload on that one.
Yes.
And also it depends on the internet connectivity what they have, the connect to the DP and then download it from there.
Yes.
If that's
Yes.
very difficult. So so you have to increase the distribution point.
Okay.
That's one solution. The second solution, you can take Microsoft gives you another solution, and that is cloud management gateway.
Okay.
So you can put the distribution point in cloud. Okay. So that management point and distribution point can be there in the cloud itself, and you don't have to install the DP and manage yourself in data center. Rather, that those can be kept in Microsoft data center, Azure cloud data center, and people will be communicating to that one. And Azure has very good connectivity, in countries, almost all countries. So it will be like, you guys probably
Yes.
used
Yes.
BitTorrent or something like that, right?
Yes. Yes. It takes like 30 seconds for. Yeah, I understand.
To download the movie and all, right?
Yes.
So when you are trying to communicate, right, when the computer is trying to communicate, it will get good bandwidth and connectivity, and it will download from the distribution point in really good speed. So
Correct.
that is one solution which I can provide at the
So
moment.
our companies, we are following CDC rules. So next 3 or 4 months, we'll probably be working from home. So in for that 4 or 5 months, we have no temporary solution available for the users to get new updates. It have to be on distribution point. Or can I create a collection and assign distribution points?
You can do that.
Sorry, these are the issues which I'm encountering every day, and this is my 7th week on SCCM. I've never seen the face of SCCM before.
you,
7 weeks.
you are
So,
not only the one. You are not only the one. The people, because of this COVID-19,
yes.
those who are working on SCCM, almost everyone is impacted.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Well, these are the questions I have. Thank you.
No worries.
Yes.
So the next, good that you remind me the IBCM. IBCM can also help you in this case. So instead of going to the data center distribution point, you will have let's say primary site here, and you will have one management point and distribution point, and this will be IBCM. IBCM is what? Internet based client management. As the previous question was, so I think somebody from Dubai asked that question, if we don't have connectivity at all, right? So devices, let's say these are users which are not even connected to VPN. These devices are not even connected to VPN. They are at home at the moment, and they just have internet connection. So through internet, they can communicate to this one, IBCM, and from here they can download the content. Okay.
Got it.
So you don't have to have the virtual private network, or you don't need to take the computer in office to get the LAN network. You can get the content over the internet as well. Whose question was that?
I think it was Bashir. I think Rafiq.
Yeah, myself. Bashir.
Yes,
Okay.
Bashir.
Understood. Any question in this one?
Yeah, thank you. So this is it's a role, right? IBCM is a role.
Yeah. So basically, we have to keep a server management point which will host management point and DP, and it will be exposed to internet, because you don't expose your internal server to internet, right?
Yes.
So this server will be exposed to internet, just like your Exchange server, right? They are exposed to internet to receive the incoming emails. Similarly, this server will be exposed to internet, and the request, any computer, they can request the policies and download the content from this server itself.
So this can be modified, correct? So like time to time we can modify.
Modify as in?
Like let's example now, since
Disable, enable.
Yes, disable, enable.
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can do that. It's not a problem.
Sorry, this is Bilal. I think I just remembered something. I did update 2 weeks back our SCCM server, and in the distribution points, I can select a cache. It says that you can assign 200 GB or 400 GB for cache servers.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that option I saw it, if I'm not wrong. So instead of I think it creates a cache for Windows, for Microsoft updates, something like that. It's just a new. I just remember like 2 weeks back I did that.
Okay. Yeah. So you can do that for cache. It will download and keep the cache, offline contents there.
Yes.
And the next feature of SCCM is Intune. Intune is for mobile device management, so you don't need any the VPN or the private network or the LAN network. So you just have to enroll your device, and once it is enrolled with Intune server, you can remotely manage the devices, the policies, and the content can be downloaded from there. But through Intune, it has limited functionalities. Okay, you can't get everything what we get in SCCM, which we'll talk later on. Okay, any question, guys?
No, not yet.
All good. Then we have we have okay, this kind of architecture, guys. First picture is for standalone, second one is for primary plus secondary, and the third one is for central, primary, and secondary. Okay. Database replication happens from downward to upward. You know, replication happens from bottom to up. You know.
Got it.
Then these are the roles in SCCM. These are important. There are other roles as well, but these are some important roles which I have kept it here: management point, distribution point, software update point. So we'll talk about these roles tomorrow. What are the features of these roles? What are the benefits of these roles? Why do we need these roles and all? Okay. Okay, let me just quickly show you this one, the features and functionalities of SCCM. As you know, SCCM is, there in the market for the past 25 years, right? So it has many good features. These are some features which I have included here in this slide, but there are many more which I have not included here. Like in asset management, for inventory, you can use SCCM to find out the hardware and software inventory of your devices. 20,000 devices or 50,000 devices are there, and you would like to know the model number, hardware details, hard drive information, their RAM information, processor information. All those things you can get it from this hardware inventory feature of SCCM. Software inventory, you can get the software installed software inventory from all the computers. You can get asset intelligence. Asset intelligence is basically to categorize and plus license consumption management and inventory purpose. So you can use asset intelligence. Software metering to find out the utilization of any product. Let's say Microsoft Visio, in how many computers it is being utilized, since it's a licensed application, right? So you can monitor licensed application through software metering. Application management, you can deploy application to, let's say 10,000 computers need Google Chrome. You can install through SCCM. Software update, you can manage software patching through SCCM. Operating system deployment can also be automated through SCCM. You can manage your contents through SCCM. Compliance setting, you can find out how many computers are compliant, non-compliant. Power management, you can also define power policy, whether the computer will go for a sleep mode or hibernate mode, or turn off the monitors or shut down the computers during certain hours. You can use that. Client health, endpoint protection, the antivirus, mobile device management through Intune, role-based administration. So we can define the role of multiple people. Let's say if somebody is good with application deployment, I'm going to give him application deployment role. If somebody is good with operating system deployment, I'm going to give him operating system deployment role. Remote management, you can remotely manage. You can remotely can, just like I am sharing my screen with you guys. Similarly, your user can also share their screen with you with SCCM administrator using SCCM functionality. That's one of the functionality of it. Reporting, SCCM gives you this reporting. There are multiple options: Excel, PDF, CSV format. Then monitoring, you can monitor the SCCM components and sites. If something goes wrong, you can get an alert, and also you will receive an email. So those things can be done through SCCM. So these are some basic functionalities. Now, when we go in the lab from day after tomorrow, I think we will start the lab setup. So for lab, we have to have minimum 12 GB of RAM, quad core processor, and 300 GB of hard drive. If you are planning to install it on your local computer, on your laptop, just like in my laptop, I have installed SCCM. Here is my SCCM domain database and SCCM, and we can do all the task here. So for this kind of setup, you need 12 gigabyte of RAM, quad core processor, and 300 GB of hard drive size, free hard drives. Okay.
Okay.
But in case if you don't have this local configuration, then you need to set it up on Microsoft Azure Cloud Data Center or Google Cloud or any other. Give me a minute. Okay, sorry, I'm back. So you can put it on cloud on different location, different cloud providers. I'll recommend this one, Google, Azure Cloud Data Center, that gives you 30 days free trial.
Yeah, I use
And
that
you
with
can
Microsoft Azure. It's pretty good to do the virtual labs.
yes. So you can use that one, and that gives you 30 days free trial, and you can utilize that one to create resources in Azure. So for that, you just need one computer. That's it, to connect remotely. And yeah, rest everything can be done on that one. Lab architecture, we go with one primary site server, one database server, right? One database server and one domain controller. Okay, so this is the lab architecture, and one client computer, Windows 10, for deployment purpose, like application deployment, patching deployment. And every computer will be on the same LAN network, so that connectivity will be, they can communicate to each other. Got it?
Yes.
Any question, guys, on this?
No, I'm good.
Okay, I see two more people, I think. No, Vijesh. Hi, Vijesh.
Hi, sir.
Hi, you joined late, so
Yeah, lately joined.
just wanted to understand. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm from Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Okay, I have working since 2 years. I am working here as a system support engineer.
Okay.
So yesterday I got this link through WhatsApp. So just today morning I had tried to log in.
Okay. Yeah, I sent that to you, right? Did it come from my side or from where? Okay, no worries. Now, so tomorrow we will start. Tomorrow we will meet. 7:30 India time, same time. What we started.
Same time, right?
I have a question. Is there any prerequisites to take this course, or anyone can take this course? Because I have no IT background, no networking or no packaging or repackaging background. So is this okay to join this session? I mean, join this course.
Prerequisite, as such, if you have a little bit knowledge on, desktops, little bit knowledge on Active Directory, and
I don't have any knowledge of Active Directory. I told you I work a little bit for the software testing.
Okay. Even though if you don't have a prerequisite, my course is starting from scratch. So from beginning.
Because over here I can see all those grooves over here.
No, you don't see that. Oh, you have any question? Did you understand the concept today? What I explained?
Yes, I understand whatever you said. I mean, why we use the SCCM, why we do the packaging or deployment, and what was the benefits of the packaging. So I got all those things. But
Okay.
I was just curious, whether I am a good fit or not, because I have no networking background. I have
No, network is not needed here. Network is not needed. But SCCM is like if you have little bit knowledge on desktop server, little bit in DNS, Active Directory, DHCP, then you are the perfect fit for this course. Even if
but
you don't have, yeah.
Okay. Will you touch a little bit about the Active Directories and
Yes,
another
that's
stuff,
what
just for
that's what I was saying. Even if you don't have that, the course, when we start the course, it will start from scratch. So when we are touching when we have to touch those points, Active Directory, DNS, DHCP. So during those session, I will be explaining those things. Okay.
Okay.
So I'll keep in mind that since you don't have those, you don't have expertise on those technologies. So I'll be explaining little bit more on that one. Okay. And I will be sharing some links and some articles. You need to go through those links and articles. Understood.
Okay. So is there any possibility where we can have a network like other students over here, Bilal Bhai and Bashir Bhai and other people?
I'm gonna create one WhatsApp group. Okay. So you all can be a
because
member.
those are already in a business, in this profession, and since I am in Chicago, and I think Bilal Bhai, I think he's in
I'm in Tempe,
California.
Tempe, Arizona. Arizona. Tempe,
Oh, God,
Arizona.
Arizona. Oh, mashallah.
Yes.
So you guys are lucky. Chicago is brutal. We just started summer.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So last 2 days we have a hot weather like in 80s.
Yes. Yes.
You guys always have summer.
Yes.
Mashallah.
Yes. It's really good here. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, you can create the group so we can talk each other, and if we have some kind of networking, so we can go for it.
Okay, so this is my WhatsApp number. So I will you just send me a hi message. Those who are interested to join from, continue from tomorrow. So you will also need to make the payment. Those who have not made the payment, so you need to contact your respective source from where you came. Suppose you got email, so you have to reply to that email for the payment. If you have received from on WhatsApp, you have to reply on that WhatsApp. So, and this is my WhatsApp number. If you have any question, you can also, you need to send a hi message on this number so that I can create a group and add you in. So this is only for the people who are going to continue from tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, guys. Any question before we wrap it up?
Yes. Mr. Kashif, I have a question, but this is totally different than the training that we got today. It's the task, a small project that my boss asked me if I can do that on SCCM. He asked me to gather all the users from one company, their shared drives. I mean, get the inventory of shared drives. So I have no idea how to get that inventory.
That shared drives that you're looking for, you can get that from Active Directory.
Yes, not from the Active Directory, and we already have from Active Directory, but from SCCM, we have to pull out and compare because we are migrating servers, and we have no idea where the old company have their logs for shared drives. So I'm not sure if I can do that in SCCM.
Congratulations.
I know.
SCCM will also not give you those details. I don't think
Okay.
SCCM can give you those details. No.
If you have Active Directory and the person who set up the shared drives may have put up an Active Directory.
No. But that is the home directory in Active Directory, right? Not the shared drive. He's talking about the home directory. That is if that is mapped in Active Directory, then you can get that.
Okay.
But how many shared drive?
I don't know,
that
maybe
will not be
we
available in SCCM. I mean Active
yeah,
Directory.
because we have Toyota and Chase, we have 7,000 users from both companies, and everyone have 6 or 7 shared drives for compliance. We are looking
Okay,
for
I
the
think
reports.
Are
okay,
you
so
using
I think we will be
SharePoint?
able to do it one day. Not sure how much, but yeah.
Are you
Yeah.
using SharePoint or any kind of Varonis or kind of like our SharePoint? That would be able to have some information for you.
Yes, SharePoint
Yeah.
only our managers are allowed. Our agents are not allowed to use SharePoints. And most of our agents, they save data in different drives. And we are trying to get our inventory report of those shared drives so we can own those servers and migrate those servers.